Well guys, the bankruptcies are here. This is honestly a long time coming thing, and it's really no surprise. If you think about it, the situation that we're in right now is the perfect formula for disaster. No one can go out and shop, therefore businesses can't make money, therefore they close down or file for bankruptcy. So let's take a look at a few big bankruptcies that are happening right now and see exactly what went wrong and what this means for the future and what kind of things we could be expected to see as time goes on. How's it going, guys? I'm Jim Leadus. Welcome back to the channel. So the stock market has been doing some crazy things lately, okay? I mean, at the start of this whole pandemic thing, we plummeted down to 18,000, which is like unheard of. And shortly after that, it spiked back up to about 24,000, which we're at right now. We've been at that point for, I'd say a few weeks to a month right now, just fluctuating between 23 and 24,000. Now, like I said before, this thing is far from over. The truth is the stock market isn't exactly reflecting on what the economy is doing. It's just ignoring it and going right past it. Now, the way I see it is we're not going to have a true reflection on what the markets will look like until businesses actually close down. And obviously, yes, stores, businesses are closed right now, gyms, movie theaters, shopping malls, etc. Those are all shut down to try to reduce the spread of this thing. But once those companies go under, once they go bankrupt and file bankruptcies, then we're going to actually see the stock market react to that. Because the only thing open right now that's doing well are grocery stores, healthcare centers, and basically any essential things like hardware stores and gas stations. Now, it's important to understand the purpose of Chapter 11 bankruptcy and what it really means. That just because a company files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy doesn't necessarily mean that those companies are going to close down permanently forever. The intended purpose for Chapter 11 is that it provides, a moment for these companies to restructure, get rid of their debt, and rebuild themselves and it keeps them afloat basically. It keeps them afloat so they can restructure and carry on throughout the future. And then as time goes on, they pay back their creditors as they fix themselves. Now, we're going to see a lot of big companies filing for bankruptcy. J.Crew is probably the most popular one right now that you're hearing about. And they just filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and made a deal with lenders to bail them out of $2 billion in debt in return for 82% stake in the company. And the reason this is happening because after shutting down their 500 stores in March, they haven't been bringing in any revenue whatsoever. They have laid off tens of thousands of employees and did not pay their April rents, and they tapped their credit line. Now, J.Crew is expected to lose about $900 million in sales due to this pandemic. Well, like I said before, they were struggling way before this. The past 6 consecutive years, they've been reporting losses. Leading up to this is just the perfect recipe for disaster. They also had a huge load of debt due to private equity firms' buyouts. How that works is private equity firms will buy companies using a small amount of their own funds and lots of borrowed money. If sales and profits don't meet their target, their debt can become too overwhelming and the company can tip into bankruptcies. It's just crazy how that stuff happens. Now, this video isn't all about J.Crew. J.Crew is just one of the first big companies that, very well known that has filed for bankruptcies. There's been a lot of other ones out there and soon a lot more will follow this. Gold's Gym, for example, just filed for bankruptcy. They're another great example of a very large company, and due to this pandemic, they've been forced to permanently close down 30 corporate-owned locations. Now, while filing for Chapter 11 will allow Gold's Gym to kind of restructure, get themselves out of debt, and come up with a better game plan. This way they could keep paying suppliers and vendors. Their goal is to emerge from this by August 1st or even sooner. During this time, they'll continue to support 700 gyms worldwide. And Gold's Gym is also a parent company for New York Sports Club. And they're also looking at a debt restructuring plan as well for filing bankruptcy. So as far as Gold's Gym is concerned, I don't think this is necessarily the end of Gold's Gym. I think this is just a really hard time for them right now and they're struggling tremendously. And as for J.Crew, this means kind of the same thing. Just because they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy doesn't mean they're going to go away forever. However, looking at their past track record of 6 consecutive years of losses, it's a pretty good sign that this company could disappear forever, unless they can figure their stuff out. I think what the Gold's Gym has in its favor right now is you can't replace a gym, right? People are always going to need space to go and work out. You can't replace that. However, J.Crew, on the other hand, they're in a different situation because they're in the retail market. Anybody could go online nowadays and just order stuff and have it shipped right to the door. Why would you have to leave your house? Department stores, retail stores, and other brick and mortar stores have already been seeing a decline in sales over the past years. I mean, this has been coming for a long time due to online sales. That industry just keeps growing. So at the end of the day, this thing wasn't that shocking, but having this situation right now is just speeding things up faster than anybody could handle. Sort of like the parent of Kmart and Sears. They filed for bankruptcy back in 2018, and since then, they have closed hundreds of stores. I mean, things aren't looking good for them. Hertz is another company that's preparing to file for bankruptcy, and Pier 1 is another company that already has. Not to mention numerous of oil production companies throughout the US. I think hundreds now have filed for bankruptcy due to the recent oil price wars that were caused by this pandemic. Really crazy stuff went down with leaders across the world. Go check that video out. I made a full breakdown of what happened. I'll put it up above here and I'll put it down below in the description for you. At the end of the day, bankruptcy at a time like this is something we just simply cannot prevent. The only way to really get things back and moving is if we reopen the country and everybody goes back to work. But for obvious reasons, that's gonna take some time. This is honestly just the tip of the iceberg. As time goes on, guys, we're gonna see a lot more companies filing for bankruptcy. I'm really curious to see how, America as a whole, the government, whoever's, supplying these bailouts, how they're gonna handle this load with so many companies coming in at the same time for bankruptcy. We've never seen anything like this before. So I'm really curious to see how this one plays out. But at the same time, there's no doubt in my mind that there definitely will be companies out there, big companies, that will go under for good and we'll never see them again. As it is now, the world has adapted to an online shopping platform, right? Everybody's getting used to just going online and order what you need. It comes to your door in like 2 days. So companies like J. Crew, right? A clothing store, or Sears and Bed Bath & Beyond, these companies are all struggling. They're hanging on by a thread. But I feel like this pandemic, right, having this shut down and not producing any business is just the one thing that's going to push them over the edge for good. It's like forcing them into this situation and like speeding up time. Now we're definitely going to see some bailouts for some big companies, as we already have for like airlines. Take for example, airlines have already received big bailouts, and it's obvious we can't function without airlines because that's a huge means of transportation to get over the world and for also shipping and stuff. So those companies do have to be bailed out, but they have a tremendous amount of overhead and all their planes right now are grounded. This thing is gonna last for them. It's gonna stick with them for quite some time after this. And people aren't just going to go jump on back on airplanes because people aren't going to be traveling out of fear. They're also going to be low on income. So they're not going to have disposable income to spend on flights and traveling and vacations. And on top of that, business structures are changing. If you think about it, a good portion of companies throughout America had to adapt to a different style of working. So instead of going into your corporate office or anything, everything's done online, web chats, meetings online, and it was just a total change in direction for them. So I think when this is all done, companies are going to start to realize that,
hey, maybe we don't have to go into work. Maybe we don't have to fly across the country to go to a meeting. Why can't we just sign on to Skype or sign on to Zoom and have that meeting online and do it that way? This model's working for us. Why don't we just keep doing it?
And on top of that, you guys have probably heard that Warren Buffett just sold off all his airline stocks, like literally all of them. He just lost complete faith in the company. And Warren Buffett owned about 10% of the entire industry. So when he sold off about $10 billion, and that impacted the airline industry tremendously. So if a guy like that, the smartest guy out there, lost belief in an industry that large, it's got to be saying something, especially to sell out at a loss. It definitely is an interesting world that we live in, and it's honestly so unpredictable because the world has never experienced anything like this in the history of ever, right? Every day that you wake up, it seems that there's a new challenge to face and something more to overcome. There just is never a dull moment in the world that we're living in right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up because it really helps out my channel tremendously. And I spend a lot of time on these videos, so I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to help grow my channel. And this way I can provide you guys with awesome content as I post on here every single day. And with that said, I'm Jim Leadus, and I'll see you in the next one.